From potentially rigged games to rookie breakouts, this is everything that you missed in week 2 of the NBA season. We saw the introduction of the in-season tournament, which was good for the most part unless you had your eyes open. Whoever designed these courts just wanted to give fans headaches. The games themselves though did not disappoint, as the first game of the tournament was between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton showed the league why he might make an all-NBA roster this season, as between his clutch shot to seal the deal and Miles Turner's nasty block on Evan Mobley, the Pacers were too much for the Cavaliers. The Golden State Warriors were challenged by a young OKC Thunder team without their star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chet Holmgren and Lou Dort had efficient performances, both shooting above their averages, stepping up in the absence of Shai Gilgeous. Kuminga had a breakout game and Chris Paul dished out 13 assists, while Curry had a near triple-double night. However, the game took a controversial turn down the stretch when Draymond Green was involved in a questionable late-game incident with Chet Holmgren. Although it was deemed to be a non-hostile act, it was clear that Green's play was far from innocent. As for me, who leads with their elbow when they're shooting? The game went back and forth down the stretch, and it appeared that Steph Curry had secured the win with just 0.2 seconds remaining, only for Draymond Green to be called for an offensive goaltend after touching the rim. The officials began to review the play, and it quickly became obvious to us fans at home that it was in fact an offensive goaltend, as Draymond did touch the rim. However, what occurred was one of the most controversial decisions in the young season, as the basket was called good and the Thunder lost 139 to 141. In Phoenix, Victor Wembanyama beats the Suns in back-to-back nights, and in night 2 he showed the world why the hype should be real. Devin Booker was back in the lineup to join Kevin Durant, and this was a game that the Suns really should have won, but the opposite was true, as Wemby ended the game with a staggering 38 points as the Spurs took care of business down the stretch, walking away with an 11-point victory. However, in the 2 games that followed, the Spurs were blown out by the Raptors and the Pacers. In Milwaukee, the Knicks were in town as they put on a valiant effort, as Brunson torched the Bucks defense, ending with 45 points on 56% shooting. If it wasn't for Julius Randle, who continues with his shooting struggles, the Knicks could have won this game. The Bucks made a critical change in their defense as they sent Brook Lopez back into drop coverage to better defend the paint, as it was a bit of an interesting decision to do this against Brunson, as he got his 45 points because of the drop coverage, but Brook Lopez still ended the game with 8 blocks to his name. Down the stretch, it was Dame time as he made a 3-pointer thanks to a Giannis screen and hit a clutch and one to close out the Knicks. Back to Julius Randle though, his shooting and overall basketball IQ is not where they need to be, as whenever he's on the floor, he's basically just hurting his team. Randle shot a horrific 5 for 20 from the field as Giannis locked him up one-on-one all night. If Randle's numbers don't come up, the Knicks should look to trade him at the deadline or even sooner. Nikola Jokic showed the NBA why he's still the best player in basketball, as in the final in-season tournament game of the first day, he put up a monstrous 33, 13, and 9 on 87% shooting, as his Denver Nuggets dealt with Luka and Kyrie's Dallas Mavericks in convincing fashion in the end. The Grizzlies secured their first win of the season, propelled by Desmond Bane's outstanding 30-point performance, as Jaren Jackson Jr. also added 27 points. The Boston Celtics are still the best team in the league, with Jason Tatum making a case for the MVP award. Boston are dominant on the defensive end at all positions, while Kristaps Porzingis continues to be a dominant force for the team offensively. However, they did lose their first game of the season to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves forced overtime on the Celtics as Anthony Edwards turned into prime Michael Jordan, ending with 38, 9, and 7, shooting 60% from the field. LaMelo Ball had a great week of solid basketball with a triple-double against Dallas and some game-winning defense on Halliburton to beat Indiana. Kevin Durant delivered a remarkable performance against the Detroit Pistons, scoring 41 points on 51% shooting, leading the Suns to a victory. He was able to get the job done despite the absence of Booker and Beal. Suns guard Eric Gordon was able to contribute 21 points, shooting 57% from the field. Cam Thomas continues to give Brooklyn valuable minutes with a 45-point masterclass versus the Milwaukee Bucks. However, the Bucks were too good down the stretch as they pulled away with a 4-point victory. The shooting struggles for Scoot Henderson are real, as he's shooting only 9% from 3, 34% from the field, managing to average just 8 points a game. The Philadelphia 76ers are still contenders, as they will look to use their picks and salary cap space to sign a third star like OG Anunoby, Zach LaVine, or the unlikely option Mikal Bridges. Embiid is passing the ball better while knocking down the 3-ball at a 47% clip, and Maxey looks like an all-star. In a game versus the Washington Wizards, the Sixers hit their stride. Tyrese Maxey finished the game with 22 points and 11 assists, while Embiid goes off for 48, 11, and 6, shooting a staggering 17 of 25 from the field, equating to 68%. Embiid was also able to knock down all 14 of his free throws in a 30-point blowout victory. James Harden played his first game for the Clippers in the same place that he debuted for the Sixers versus the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. However, the Knicks were able to spoil the coming-out party as New York picked up a 111-97 victory over the Clippers. Julius Randle found some form, ending ending with 27 points, but he was still shooting the ball at 42% from the field, which is too ineffective for Knick fans' liking. RJ Barrett had a really good game returning from injury as he had 26, 6, and 4, shooting 56%, while Brunson took a step back as he ended the game with only 7 points, shooting a bad 16%. The Clippers' chemistry was clearly an issue as it appeared that they didn't want to step on each other's toes. Westbrook, however, finished the game with 17 points on 61% shooting, while Harden had 17 and 6. Paul George struggled with his shot, only ending with 10 points on 18% shooting. In Miami, the Lakers' Anthony Davis was benched after he reportedly suffered a groin spasm, as after this apparent injury, he was not able to return to action. Christian Wood came in to replace AD and made a clutch 3 late in the game, but wasn't enough as the Lakers lost by a single point due to a missed 3 by Cam Reddish at the buzzer. LeBron showed his lack of age as he made a ridiculous chase down block and some vintage dunks for the Heat crowd. For Miami, it was all Bam Adebayo, who finished with 22 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and blocking 2 shots. These kinds of performances from Bam Adebayo have Heat fans salivating. In a game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Detroit Pistons, Giannis makes a fast break poster on Isaiah Stewart. After this vicious move, he gives him a mean mug and he gets ejected for it. This call was such an overreaction and NBA fans and Bucks fans did not like it and they took to social media. If you get a fast break, nasty post to dunk, you should be able to celebrate, right? If you ask a ref from this game, they wouldn't think so, as Giannis was far from pleased as he continued to argue even after the tech. If you're a superstar and you make a superstar play, you should be allowed to show some emotion. Without Giannis on the floor, second-year player Marcus Sasser couldn't miss. As directly following the ejection, he ended the game with 26 points on 64% shooting. In the fourth quarter, Damian Lillard helped the charge with 18 points in the fourth and 34 points in the game. However, it was Brook Lopez who had a clutch 3 and a block to ice the game as the Bucks avenged their MVP. The Lakers were beaten badly by the Houston Rockets, directly following Anthony Davis's injury as he sat out the game. At the beginning of the season, AD stated that he would play all 82 games, but only 7 games into a season, he's already out. There's rumors that the Lakers are interested in bringing back former Laker Alex Caruso. If the Bulls are selling at the deadline, which at this point they should be, this deal would be ready to go if the Lakers were going to pull the trigger. Victor Wembanyama played his first game in Madison Square Garden and it went south quickly. To start the game, the New York Knicks went on an 8-0 run and it didn't get any closer, as it appeared the lights were too bright for Wemby that night. In a highly anticipated matchup between the Celtics and Sixers, it was Philadelphia that came out on top. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown both struggled offensively, while the pairing of Embiid and Maxey looked really good early, as the 76ers are on a 6-game winning streak and the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. With the ball in Tyrese Maxey's hands instead of James Harden's, the Sixers look infinitely better, and the new bench pieces like Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum are contributing also. OKC hosted the Cavaliers and Shea was back from injury and it didn't disappoint. By the end of the third quarter, he had an effective 38 points and finished the game with 43, shooting 68% from the field. OKC got the 128-120 W, as the Thunder could be a playoff team this season, especially if Josh Giddey returns to previous form, as he's only averaging 12 points a game from his 16 points in the season prior. The Suns-Bulls matchup goes to overtime as Bradley Beal makes his debut as a Sun. Chicago made a late surge to get back into the game and force overtime, thanks to clutch shot making by DeMar DeRozan, but it was the Phoenix Suns who were victorious as Kevin Durant found Yusuf Nurkic on a cut and he made a game-winning basket. The Nuggets received some bad news as they'll be without Jamal Murray until December, and with the Warriors coming into town, the timing couldn't have been any worse. However, the Warriors were going to be without Draymond Green and his defense on Jokic was missed as Nikola ended with 35, 13, and 5 on 56% shooting. Late in the game, the Nuggets led by just 2 points. Jokic was at the line for 2 and he missed both of them, leaving the door wide open for Golden State. With 15 seconds left, the ball was in Curry's hands and it looked like the repeat of the Thunder game was coming. Instead, he gets into the lane and has a wide open look, but bricks it, as the Denver Nuggets pulled away with a 105-108 victory over Golden State. The current standings in the Eastern Conference have begun to take shape as the Celtics, Sixers, and Bucks are taking the top 3 seeds. The Pacers and the Hawks are at 4 and 5, while the Cavs and the Knicks are both lower in the standings than we predicted. At West, the standings are wild as the Lakers, Suns, and Kings are all outside the playoff picture in 10th, 11th, and 13th, while the Memphis Grizzlies are the worst team in basketball. The Denver Nuggets are holding down the number 1 seed as to be expected, but what wasn't to be expected was the Dallas Mavericks, who have surprised the league as they are the current 2nd seed. The Thunder are up to the 6th seed as Chet Holmgren makes a strong case for Rookie of the Year over Wemby, while the experiment in Minnesota with Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns appears to be working better as Minnesota are the 4th seed. Who will be the number 1 seed in each conference and who is your pick to win the title? I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below.